Hi, everybody. My name is Jack Russell, president of OneZone, and so excited today to have our conversation, our Fishers podcast. But I think we're going to dive into much more than just Fishers. We're going to dive into leadership. We're going to dive into the future of maybe even the future of healthcare. But Mayor, we have a guest with us.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, Bryan, thank you so much with Community Health Network. We're so excited to have you join the podcast, and so excited to learn a little bit and talk a little bit about not only healthcare, but leadership as a whole when it comes to your time with community and your leadership. So, we're excited. Yeah.
Well, I was really excited to invite Bryan onto this because he's a friend of mine and a guy I respect a lot. So, Bryan, when you started at Community, how many employees did Community Health have?
Well, there was only one hospital on the east side. North was under construction, and I came as part of the team to open North. I don't know that answer, but I would guess it's less than 1,000.
Less than 1,000. And then as you exit the network here shortly, how many employees do you have today?
About 18,000.
18,000. So to go from less than 1,000 to 18,000, and the scale of that is just, I think about this a lot at the city. We've grown so fast that sometimes people's capabilities or leadership capacity can't keep up with the growth. But somehow you were able to evolve with the organization. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think the things that have really helped is just understanding the better you know whoever you work with, the better you're going to be at what you're doing. And if people really know each other, they trust each other, and they'll tell people things. Yeah. I mean, two things that come to mind is one, we onboard people every Monday morning, and like yesterday was 68, and it's somewhere between 50 and probably 130. But unless I'm out of town, I go to new employee orientation every Monday morning. Tell them about our mission, tell them about what we're all about. They get my direct information. So you see me at a ball game, in a Walmart or any place else, you come see me.
Yeah.
And people do. And then you say, here's my number. And people say, well, you're just getting overloaded. No, that's not true. People know they can access if they need to.
Yeah.
And if they do, nobody ever lies.
Right.
I mean, and I'm not saying because of me, but it takes courage to reach
Absolutely.
out. And they're telling you something that's real. And I'm not looking for heads.
Yeah.
But that's one. And then the second thing is just during COVID, we learned to use video.
Yeah.
So that we can actually be real.
Yeah.
And so we still do that, and for so many different things. And it just makes, most people say, well, when they meet me, they say, well, you're a lot shorter than I thought. I said, I said, no doubt.
So one of the things I was telling someone the other day that has impressed me about your organization, we'll get into here in a minute, kind of our endeavor with the city, but I have found your organization to be kind of mission driven. It's not just a big healthcare network, but I think the people that work with you and for you really believe they're kind of mission driven. They're trying to help people. And how do you think over the years as you've scaled that you've been able to continue to instill, that sense of purpose that runs through hopefully every aspect of the organization?
Well, as I tell people, our name is Community, and people will say that's a generic name. And I say, oh no, it's specific.
Mm-hmm.
It's specific to whatever community we're in.
Yeah.
Because we get involved in schools and churches and civic organizations and governments. And so you have to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can stand out over on the side and say, hey, when you need us, let us help you. You've got to be a part of the fabric of everywhere we go.
Right.
And it is different based upon where our hospitals are. I mean, you think about, I grew up in Noblesville.
Right.
When we went to Kokomo or Anderson to play ball, I was pretty certain I was going to get my butt kicked. And then it's changed. And there was so much industry here and there, and that's all changed. But we're there to work with the citizens are there now, and it changes.
You as a CEO of a large hospital in a variety of different environments, whether it's on the Near East Side or whether it's up here in Hamilton County, you guys, in some regards, are on the front line of kind of understanding where our people are at, where our residents are at. And, as you sit here today after 40 years and you see the people that are coming into our hospital system, how are our Indiana residents doing?
I wish we would focus more on health. Working on how do we spend a lot of time having battles over a lot of things. And I'm not saying who's right or wrong, if it's good or bad. Mm-hmm. My purpose, though, is that I see this because we have a lot of schools that we provide nurses for,
absolutely.
And behavioral therapists and all this stuff. And people say, why do you do that? Well, because we're trying to help our community so that people have the ability to go have families, be a part of wherever you are. And I think that's where healthcare has got this image of about money, cost, all this stuff. Okay. I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
What it's really about, though, is making sure people feel that they belong.
Yeah.
They have people that can go to help them, and that we try to find ways in which to take any part of our organization, wherever they're working. We're trying to have people become good citizens and families and moms and dads.
It's hard to do any of those things if you're not healthy or if you're mentally not in a good place, right? It's hard to be a productive member of society if you have chronic health issues or chronic mental health issues, right?
It is, but I think with encouragement
yeah.
and support, I think we can do that. And especially when you think about all the ways in which we can provide commerce now,
right.
You would think that we can mix that together. And coincidentally, Scott, I was asked to go down and talk to all of the people that work in the schools. And so we did a big gathering, and I told them our history, our story, and why we do this, because the schools, they're a part of what we do and what we're responsible for. Yeah. And people say we shouldn't be in schools, and to me, we should be in more.
Well, Jack, your role and my role is a little bit, I'm supposed to recruit companies, and then you're supposed to take care of them once they're in our city.
Yes.
Healthcare is inevitably a conversation for a small to medium-sized business to a large business and to government. Healthcare, providing quality healthcare to your employees is an ongoing challenge. I don't know, Jack, if you hear that a lot from your employees or your companies, I should say.
I think yes, absolutely. I think there's really two factors. Number one, it's when you talk about entrepreneurship and innovation, finding healthcare opportunities for maybe a solo entrepreneur or someone that's trying to grow. I mean, the biggest change, and you see this, Mayor, from an entrepreneurial city, is the biggest change for a company is when you double the size of it from 1 to 2 employees. and so we do get a lot of questions around healthcare and providing that as an incentive to continue to retain talent. And so it is a very competitive market, and they are coming to us a lot around that. I think the difference is, to Brian's point, is they know the reason they know a lot of the different logos, especially your brand, is because they're out in the community. I mean, when we talk about community health, they may not even mention the building. They may say, "Oh, it's my son's soccer team," or this and that. So I don't think, from a business standpoint or an economic standpoint, people don't realize how much a group like Community Health gives back to the community, whether it's sponsoring events or sponsoring for nonprofits or those type of things. And I think that is a lot of that build and trust that we see is, with community supporting some of our initiatives as well. I mean, it's a huge factor for us. But to long-winded to say, I think healthcare has made its way to the forefront of, especially for small businesses, how do I retain my talent and retain my employees, and what can the chamber offer? And so that's been our biggest, how do we solve that problem for them?
So there's a lot of noise out there around everything these days, but in that noise can sometimes keep a person from really seeing the field as it is and then figuring out how to innovate or evolve. And Bryan, you and I started a relationship probably, 7 years ago, maybe longer, where I was just so frustrated with, as an employer, 600 employees or so, My costs just kept going up. And I had all these people that were getting paid to try to manage that, but no one was responsible for it. And so I'd get in these rooms and there'd be like 7 consultants around the table, and we'd be looking at a 13% increase in healthcare costs when my revenue grows at 4%. And they would say, hey, it's good news. Could have been 15%. I'm like, this is not good news. And so I think, I don't even know how it started, but I think I just vented to you about it. And you, I think if I recall, if I'm paraphrasing, you just said, well, we should just figure out how to do something about this. And that kind of started this ongoing discussion. And I don't know if what we did is all that, remarkable, because I think there are people doing this across the country. But what has been remarkable for our organization is that, we'll be in our 6th year of no increase in healthcare costs. And that's not no increase to the employees. I mean, we're not paying more for healthcare for employees for 6 years straight. I don't know where else that exists. When I talk to other people, I hear them in significant challenges. But from your perspective, Bryan, like how are we able to innovate in that space, and why aren't more people focusing their time and energy on those innovations? Like, what are the impediments for people pursuing that? Because I think those ideas are out there. We're just not focused on them.
Well, I think it's like anything else. If anything you're running, you have to be determined to say, what am I trying to change? And you got to be specific. I remember one of the things you said in one of the first meetings we ever had. We had a conversation. You told your employees, I can pay you wages,
right,
or I can pay you health
right.
care. Can't do both.
Right.
Okay.
So if healthcare goes up 15%, and I've got $2,
right,
those $2 are going to your healthcare, and you're not going to see any money in your pocket.
And then we deliberately said, okay, and people have choice. They can go do what they want to do. But we said, if you had a office for a healthcare place or clinic, and it wasn't used very well.
No.
And we said, let's go through and understand how you use this, why you use this, when you can use this, and it's free.
Yeah.
And so, and then that was one of it. And then we started. We had the thing with the firemen. They were afraid about what they were getting. So we came up with some way to test them.
Absolutely.
And we're doing that at the same time. We're bridging this trust.
Absolutely.
As opposed to, I'm going someplace, I don't feel any better. They don't really care about me, and it costs a lot of money.
And I think what we did, and this is by no means an infomercial for community, but rather just for employers that are out there that are feeling like there's no way to tackle this problem. What we did, first of all, is we kind of cleared the room and said, the only people that need to be at this table are the people that are aligned towards a common mission. And I think what we were able to do is we were able to put the critical players at the table and say, let's align all of our interests. We want to have a healthier population and we want to reduce costs. And frankly, I reject the notion, and this might be controversial, I guess, but when people are sick or when your child is sick, you are not a rational consumer. You want your family, you want yourself to feel better than the situation you find yourselves in, and you're going to go seek care, period. That's what you're going to do. So I think what we did is we said, we understand that, and we want our employees, when they're in that moment, the last thing I want them worried about is, well, let me go online and comparison shop where I can get my stint put in. Mm-hmm. Rather, hey, look, we've done that work. We've aligned our interests. We've created an environment now where you can go to a trusted partner who has the same interests as we do, and making sure that you're as well as you possibly can be, go get your health care. And when we created that environment, I think that's when all these other problems just started getting sorted out.
No, I was going to say, even as a small employer, even when we just look at my staff and my team, we are on a direct plan with community, and our rates have not gone up.
Yeah.
Actually, the last 2 years, they've gone down.
Yeah.
And so now, I don't want to say one size fits all with things like that, but
correct.
But the service is, you're receiving high quality, and I'm just using us as a OneZone perspective. We have 2 people that take it, myself and another person. And every time we get the bill in June, and they go, hey, thank you, continue to be by the way, your percentages, and for a non-for-profit like us, it would be detrimental if we had 15% increase year over year, or we had, so because when we were doing our budgeting in August, September, I mean, in all businesses that way. And so for us to know somewhat of a consistently what we can see, I mean, it's been helpful for us too.
Yeah.
Significantly.
It's been interesting because I hearken back to when we decided to buy into an insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
And, after 40 years of dealing with our board and the last going on 20 as a CEO, by the time you get something to a board, it's usually unanimous or close to it, just gone through a bunch of things.
Yeah.
That conversation was still, people are like, you've lost your mind. You're butting into an insurance company. I said, we have to be a part of this. I've got to have something that I can use that's real.
Yeah.
And it may be, and maybe we can't, but give me a chance.
It was a game changer, I think, in our ability to create what we did. Like I think we could have had a great relationship with a community without that piece, but it's not the same as having it all vertically integrated.
Partnership.
Yeah. I mean, that to me is a definite game changer. And I think, again, the point I'm trying to make here is just there is a lot of conversation about healthcare out there today. I don't find a lot of it to be a very serious conversation because we're not chewing through ideas. We're not really thinking through or innovating on concepts. We're all collectively mad about healthcare costs, and I agree. Nobody wants to pay exorbitant prices for healthcare, but at the same time, if you want to solve it, you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and really, really try to think through it and come to the table collectively together to try to identify those solutions.
Well, and from a healthcare provider perspective, our rates on an annual basis go up about 3%.
Yeah.
So when people talk about double digit,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not to point the finger at anybody.
Right.
I'm just saying that should at least start a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so how can we work together? And there's, people have some complexity, but we can work through those things.
Well, I think we have a real diagnosis problem. Like, how are we really diagnosing the problem accurately in order to ensure that we're chasing the right solutions to that problem? And those are complex things. But so as you depart, as you retire, and you think about your collective body of work, if you're an employer out there today, like if they could sit down with Bryan Mills and they wanted to say, hey, Bryan, give me one piece of advice as an owner of a company who's responsible for employees and their health care. I mean, what would you tell them?
I would say whatever business it is more complex than it looks. And so I respect the people that run any business. Let's try to manage healthcare just like you manage everything else. And we need real data, and we need them to work, because it's not like we come up with something with you and we write it down and hand it to somebody.
No.
It's going to be different.
Right.
But you got to engage and figure it out. You got to be available.
Right.
And we had some things that came up early.
Absolutely.
And said, okay, so what are we going to do here?
Yeah, there's a great example of this, Jack. I don't know if you know this story, but our police department, there was a person who had a bit of a health scare around a potential heart attack, and it got the police department kind of churning about, boy, I don't know that we're tracking our cardiac health all that well. And so we sat down with community and came up with a scan program for our folks. And I think there were at least 3 or 4 that were imminently in danger of having a heart attack or a significant cardiac situation. And in the past, if something like that would have come up, you would have called all 12 consultants to the office, and you would have given up even trying to do it, because it's just like, I don't even know who to talk to about this. And so what I'm really interested and excited about for employers and for the city of Fishers too, I was just talking recently to the future CEO of community about this. Like, the next chapter to me is, okay, we have this integrated model where we're all at the table and aligned, how do we actually drive change in our population health? So if we look at the last 3 years of data and say, here's how we're consuming healthcare, what can we all collectively do to try to reduce costs and provide better health outcomes for our employees? And that I'm really intrigued by, and with our clinic there, it creates a huge opportunity. So I just think there's a lot of opportunities to, once you have created the environment, now it's okay, what levers can I pull within the environment to drive better outcomes?
Well, I think also on top of that is when your employees know that you really care.
Absolutely.
It goes a long way, and I think it goes a long way even past healthcare.
There's a trust issue there for sure. If we would have done this and the services would have diminished for our employees, it would have been a whole different conversation. But the fact that we're 6 years later and people have a fundamental belief that we're a good place to work, and we did that with the best of intentions, that was a big gamble. Could have gone really wrong, but it didn't. And that's a credit to going back to your value system. I think at your organization, the kind of mission driven system that really, I think, set us on a trajectory for success. But Jack, you work on the legislative front, right?
Yes.
And as you think about what's on the top of mind for your employers that you're representing, when it comes to the healthcare space or just any of that type of thing, what was healthcare costs an important issue around for your employers?
I think so. We just finished our legislative survey, and what's been really fascinating to see on the legislative survey is the number one thing they want us to focus on is quality of life. Number two is keeping local government local and not having the state tell local governments what to do. But it's fascinating. So 3 and 4, number 3 is schools, number 4 is healthcare. But when you look at really 3 of the 4 of those, all play a role together in some capacity: quality of life, healthcare, and it's not really even the cost. Sometimes it's access, maybe a little bit of affordability, but also we just know that sometimes we're just not healthier Hoosiers.
Right.
The state is not at all that healthy.
We're not a beacon of health, no.
Correct. And so, one of the things that we've really dove into that piece of data is, you talked about the screening on heart. We got to be louder as a Chamber of Commerce that, you can, for $60, you can go get a heart scan.
Right.
It's not like we're saying it's, for $1,000, you can go get a heart scan. I mean, these are, I could go on Community's website today and go schedule an appointment. And so how do we work on some of that preventative stuff ahead of time? And so that's what we've kind of dove into with our healthcare providers is, what can the chamber do to share some of that? Hey, did you know you can get a heart screen for this? Hey, did you know you can do these things? And then provide that information on our website so that people can go to one place and see the providers, see those opportunities. And so I think that's where we've kind of started to see our role as that preventative screening or preventative medicine to help. But when we talk about from a legislative side, this will be a fascinating, not that they're not all fascinating, but it is just very loud and clear that when a piece of legislation or something affects the business community, they chose Fishers for a reason. They chose their plan to be community for a reason, something like that, right? And then somebody comes in to threaten that or change that. Our business community is very vocal of, this is what we want you to look at. So when we look at quality of life, our schools, and our healthcare, all of which were pretty much on the table last year. And so it's fascinating to see that the moment that you touch the things that we like, we're going to take this survey, which, keep in mind, my survey last year, I had 100 people respond. This year I had almost 300 businesses respond. And out of the 300, we're not talking all big employers. We're talking from a single employer all the way to large companies, 300 of them. And they said that those were the things that they want to make sure that OneZone focuses on. And I think that's a powerful, there's a reason why we're as big as we are, and we want those numbers. But anyway, long-winded, but I think that's really important. The businesses are paying attention, they're watching, and there's a reason why they invested their families and their businesses where they did, and they don't want things to change that. So
one other thing I would throw in back to this conversation is that when you talk to me about doing this, I'm not the person who figured out how to do it. I'm not. I have no degree in medicine at all. But what we do is we use real data. We get people in there to understand how this works. People who can access what we have. We had some situations where people needed some drugs that they couldn't get their hands on. And you know what? And if you have the right people engaged in this, and they're engaged because they want to make people healthy.
Right.
It really isn't. It really wasn't about, can we reduce the premium? The people we're talking to, these are caregivers.
Right.
And so you tell them what to do. And
we had aligned interests. As an employer, I want to take care of my people, but I also want to control costs.
Yeah.
And the way our arrangement works, you have a vested interest as an organization for keeping costs down, which means you inherently want to keep our employees healthy.
Yeah.
And so when you align those interests, I think, Jack, to your point, we often talk about the political side of things and then the business side, but there's a cultural component of Indiana that I find so interesting. I think its origins come in agriculture and manufacturing, those two industries aren't people focused or centric necessarily, or at least historically they weren't. And so we just in Indiana have a cultural phenomenon that we're not really always focused on pursuing better outcomes for people, and really believing that people should be entitled to a better health outcome, and that we should have resources available for them to reach their potential. And we think about this a lot in Fishers around this idea of a culture of health, where it's okay to have a triathlon. It's okay to have these aspirational, we just opened up a community center in Fishers. And I'll tell you, I go there every morning at 5 a.m. and there are people in there that are pursuing a better health outcome for themselves. We should be celebrating that. And I think in Indiana, we just have this kind of fatalistic approach to life that says, I'm here, I'm not going to, I don't think I'm even worth taking care of. And then when it gets so bad, then we'll go to these institutions and they'll try to make the best possible outcome they can. Where we've got to get to is a people-centric culture here in Indiana where every person matters. Mm-hmm. And we want to see each person reach their true potential. And we want to celebrate when they're pursuing that, and that comes so far before a heart attack or cancer. It comes early on in life and throughout life. You see people trying to reach their true potential. And I think as employers, we can play a role in that as well. Like celebrating people's success if they were able to lose weight or they were able to achieve their physical health. Like I think that there's just a cultural phenomenon that we got to overcome. Mm-hmm. And you can't legislate that.
No.
Like that comes from the ground up. And there's a lot of work to be done on that front.
Yeah. I think what we have started to see even is employers using that as a benefit and investing in, hey, at the end of the day, if this is something you're passionate about, we can invest in a gym membership. We can invest in these things. I think what we're starting to see when we talk about retaining talent and then the health of talent is, gosh, so you're telling me for for $20 a month, if I pay that, that's something that you value. And that, because, a lot of times, especially the young talent, when we do reviews and stuff, they're not talking about money. They're talking about their time.
Yeah.
They appreciate their time. They want their time. And so if you can invest back in them and say, hey, I know that you are passionate about this, or, hey, and we see that a lot is a lot of our employers, when they're doing reviews, it's not usually money's an important thing. But it's their time. And how are you investing back in
we're evolving into a people-centric economy.
100%.
And so if it's a people-centric economy, when you hear the things on your survey like quality of life, healthcare, education, that's because people really matter to their companies today, and more so than they ever have before. And so that's driving a different agenda than rewind 100 years ago. It would have been, well, do I have access to seaports and railways?
Right.
It's not about people.
Right.
And today, even as a mayor, 100 years ago, if you were the mayor of a city, people were just a burden you had to deal with, but they were going to be there no matter what. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Today, people are mobile, and they're the most precious natural resource you can have in your community are educated, hardworking people, and they're mobile, and you're in competition for them. And so again, not only are our companies people-centric, our communities are becoming much more people-centric. And I think our policies have to mirror that.
Yeah.
If we're going to be successful in this new economy. And that evolution is happening whether we like it or not, and it's happening at a pace that is really kind of spins your head around, and so we got a lot of work to do.
And to your point, Mayor, I think we find ourselves as a region as a fork in the road.
Oh yeah,
And I think the cities around the country that are investing in that people-centric model are finding success. And I think us as a region, we have to understand that the fork in the road is, do you become a people-centric model that you invest in these things to make people better,
right,
or not? And understand that if not, the
other alternative is not great,
right?
Because
you look at, like, I went to DC last week. I stopped in 2 cities, very different. One may be Pittsburgh and one may be Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
And you stop in Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio is
on the move,
figuring it out.
Absolutely.
And they're they just came out as the #1 metropolitan area with infrastructure. I mean, their infrastructure is so, and I say that because, we have to look at it as a region together. I mean, especially with CERTA and things like that as well, Mayor. But it's like, I saw firsthand last week. I was like, man, Columbus is figuring this stuff out, and we've got to figure this out as a region. Not to get on my political regional tangent, sorry, Mayor, but those are the fork in the road that we have when you talk about people-centric. Is when cities figure that out, like you have, and I think some of these large cities like Nashville and Columbus, when they start to realize that, it's a game changer, and we have to figure that out as a region as well. Sorry.
I remember being on Alex Exchange about 10 years ago in Nashville. And the data at that point in time, it was Nashville, Columbus, Denver, Austin, Indianapolis, all kind of in a row. And
I know what order we're in now.
yeah, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
people were deliberate about what they're doing. I always go back to the one in Nashville where people made some really amazing decisions.
Yeah.
And knew it was probably not going to be good for them.
Yeah.
But if they were going to change what was going on for the benefit,
Right.
they had to make those changes, and they made them.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to be critical of anybody, but the data shows, and this is a big part of the data as well.
Yeah. I think we're not focused on the right things today, and hopefully we'll find some alignment, some clarity moving forward where we can and try to accomplish that. And I mean, I just want to say, Bryan, how much I've enjoyed and respected working with you over the years, and when we were talking about, hey, we should have someone on here, because no one wants to just listen to me drone on.
And definitely not me.
so I hope you stay present and relevant in our region's future, regardless of your title moving forward into any future endeavors.
Yeah.
Going nowhere.
Anything you're excited about when it comes to
I
retirement?
only have one goal.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm going to be a better granddad.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm going to be available, and that's what I don't want to do.
I love
So that's my number 1 reason.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you, not only from a OneZone perspective, but you and I had a chance to chat beforehand.
Yeah.
All of my little ones are community babies, and our 4th one in February will be a community baby.
Oh, nice.
And so I
Let
just
me
want to
know.
say,
I'll come
okay,
visit.
yeah, come hang out with us. Food's great. So, so I just want to say thank you. I really do. I mean, what you've been able, getting to know you, I really feel like community is a lot like your personality and your persona. I can see it with the people. My daughter just got this morning. We were just at the surgery center off 146.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter got tubes this morning, and from the moment you walk in the door to the moment we left, we felt this value, we felt focused, and I just want to say thank you for that.
And when we opened that spot, that hospital, that surgery center, there was nothing.
Yeah.
We literally had to have police force out there.
Oh my gosh.
And had to cater in food.
Oh my gosh.
You chose wisely.
Yes, you did.
It was
Well,
it was cheaper.
Yeah. There you go.
but I just want to say thank you as well. I really appreciate it from a personal and from a professional
Thank you so
standpoint.
much.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And I want to thank all of you for watching, and I truly appreciate it. And we're excited to continue this going and add some more faces. But Bryan, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.